level nuts.
I'm just, you know, I'm taking in all that stuff that you just said. It all just sounded very, very, you know, as if we're about to see a lamb to the slaughter kind of thing.
MaddeLisk is a huge underdog in this matchup. To say the least.
She is. I just wanted to like put you on the spot a little bit. But yeah, so Stardust, one of the best players in the world, who is against a top master level player from Europe, which is MaddeLisk. And, you know, MaddeLisk, a bit of a surprise to get where she is. There was a little controversy about her earlier in the tournament, which, you know, hopefully it's being swept under the rug a little bit now. And hopefully she can maintain focus and just do what she did, because we did see her against Sort of, and she almost managed to take a map. In fact, on King Sejong with some rather frisky play herself.
It seemed to be quite close, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we're not going to counter out just yet, even though Stardust is an absolute machine. Like, if you're up against Stardust, and even if you are the healthiest of healthy players, you're going to have a bad time. And here we see that these builds, don't collide very well for MaddeLisk either. It is a Forge first. Against a hatch first. And I'm not entirely sure, because I haven't seen too many of MaddeLisk's ZVPs, how well she will respond to this play. I don't know how well she can handle the cannon rush. You know what's
her pool's not on the way yet either.
You know what's also funny? Like, Stardust is one of the most awful players to play against, because he's not just really good. He's cheesy as well, so he'll do things to you that you've never seen before, and he'll do it better than anybody else has ever done it to you before. But also, like, I've played against him in series recently, and I went up to him at Gfinity LAN, and I said, hey man, like, just hey Stardust, and he's like, hey free win. Like, that's what he said to me, like, right there and then. So he is not an easy guy to go up against, and right now...
Stardust can be a bit BM, and now these 3 cannons going up, with that pool so far away, the drones weren't pulled down that quickly at all. So actually, really not many drones pulled to defend against this. So MaddeLisk is forfeiting her natural expansion.
And where's this drone off to? Like, doesn't have enough money to quite make the expo yet. So the drone does run off to the right. But now we have 600 minerals for MaddeLisk.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind seeing him like drop a... Oh, he actually canceled the second cannon. I was going to say even putting a pylon on that.
Hey, this worked out as well as it possibly could.
Managed to avoid the block.
Yeah. So here we have a couple of Lings on the field. We have a couple of drones also being made. Stardust making his expansion beyond this. One thing that Stardust did really nice, actually, was he cancelled his second pylon and second cannon that was being made offensively upon seeing the hatchery cancelled. So that was really nice by him. And now MaddeLisk is getting up a third base without Stardust even knowing about it. And Stardust, upon scouting this double gas in the main base, he's going to be like, whoa. Is my opponent crazy? Like, what are they doing at this point in time? Like, is this 1 base 2 gas? Like, he has to know something's up at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, some Zerg players, when they feel like they're like really heavily contained on 1 base, you know, they'll do some crazy stuff like rush up the lair. But it's not like Stardust built any additional photon cannons at the base of the ramp. So, the Queen, not quite in range. No, it doesn't seem that she's able to hit that pylon without being in range of the cannon.
Cannons do have 7 range. The pylon takes up 2 range. So that cannon does equate to 7 range. I don't think there's any kind of angle you can get on that, and that just comes from placing the cannon directly next to that pylon. But this Queen is heading over to the third base. Whoa, a lair in the main base of MaddeLisk here. So
okay. You know, we actually saw from MaddeLisk in the games that she played against, well, in her group stage, she did try to go for some crazy Nidus play. Could be something in the cards here out of that. Especially when you feel like you're a little bit contained, although I don't think that cannon, it doesn't have vision of the ramp, so MaddeLisk can freely move units between her main and her natural with, you know, her natural, quote-unquote, without having to be too worried about, you know, being scouted.
You're very sure you can't see it? I think...
Can the pylon see it?
Can
we get look at just Stardust vision? Like I don't from the mini map.
Just Stardust vision here.
Yeah, it didn't look like it from the mini map.
Yeah, can't see it. So he will never see those drones transferring to the third base. So he still doesn't really know if that went up or not. At least he doesn't know when it went up, and it went up just as soon as this probe left the base. So, you know, as far as this goes, MaddeLisk, like if she don't, well, there's an Oracle incoming pretty soon, but if she manages to defend against that, and if she has 2 queens at each base, she will. Even if she has a spore building, but armor upgrade coming in for her. Roach, Warren, Speedlings, Burrow. These are a lot of crazy upgrades that MaddeLisk is getting here.
Yeah, that's It's going to be interesting to see how she makes this work. You know, if Stardust were to go for a very quick gateway push to follow this up, it's one of those things that Burrow can actually be very effective against. But it's also important to note that Warp Gate is going to be done soon, and there's still a pylon to be dealt with.
This Oracle did fly right by that Overlord, though, so MaddeLisk should have seen it, but there aren't any spores going up currently. And if this Oracle just chooses to fight against that Queen, he would win, but
yeah,
he is deflected.
The Queen was already injured, too, so...
Yeah, exactly. It would even doubly win, but here, this Oracle, Queens don't deal a lot of damage, so deflecting that Oracle does take some time, and Stardust here killing a good 6 drones there and running away. Was that the best Oracle harass ever? No, but it achieved what he wanted to, and now he's putting up a 3rd base behind this. He's got a superior Harvester count. He's getting Void Rays, which counter roaches, so...
In a robotics facility.
He's playing very solid.
So Burrow shouldn't be too much of an issue moving forward with this game. Yeah, Stardust just got himself an advantage based on his opening, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to set myself up for everything else now. If he'd been able to spot or block that 3rd base, or like that 3rd base area, I guess, because technically it is our natural expansion at this point. But, you know, then I think this game could turn out in a very weird, different way. But,
so she's
very important to get rid of.
And she goes directly for cannon, which is cool. You know, kills a couple of lings and that's it. And now she can actually take that 3rd base. Overlord does see the Void Ray.
Yeah, well, I mean,
2 extra Stargates going up.
It feels like a safety Void Ray, but it's actually just going around hunting Overlords. And I think that's also because Stardust is adding on 2 more Stargates, and that Oracle barely missed the roaches coming across the map. How much is on here? How much is on the map here to actually defend against a small shove like this? I guess
not a lot.
He probably has a mothership core.
I mean, even if you have a mothership core, like there's a cannon at that expo and a mothership core, that's it. We could see a little bit of damage being done, and also it depends which base MaddeLisk goes for.
Stardust doesn't really have any units, so moving up this ramp could get tricky because there's a lot of force fields available, but MaddeLisk is just going to shift over now towards that 3rd base. Photon Overcharge is activated, and she has an opportunity to actually dive on that cannon and maybe try to focus down probes, but she's content to just take the energy off of that mothership core for now. Try to hit the cannon in the natural, but the thing is this also gives time now because she moves closer to that Void Ray. And actually moving in, trying to get a maybe... Oh, actually killing the cannon allows her to burrow.
It does allow her to burrow.
But the observer, I think he killed one of the...
Is there an observer here?
There is an observer. I'm not quite sure where it is. Okay, it's coming back now.
So it's coming back to base, and Stardust losing a few buildings here. Rather annoying, but good force fields. Like, lets a unit trickle through. But then you can just keep on planting force fields.
I would have liked to see the use of like the burrow play at that 3rd. I feel like that could have been really interesting. Well, I guess the Photon Overcharge was a problem. But now the observer is here, so... These burrowed units will die eventually.
Yeah, and unfortunately they are not unburrowed, and they do just sit there to die under that observer. Now she's trying to run into the 3rd when the Photon Overcharge dissipates. More roaches joining the fray here. And this is just, her army's going to get cleaned up eventually by these Void Rays, but she's going to see how much damage she can do here. Great force fields.
She actually does get on top of this Colossus, which is quite nice. She picks that off. She's still putting on a lot of pressure. The only issue is that there's nothing in her tech that really sets her up to deal with the Void Rays.
Where's that?
There's 3 Stargates on the map. Like, Stardust can just keep building Void Rays, and I think that's all he needs to defend against this style.
The thing is here, he's on 66 probes, 3 bases. He's got 3 Stargates ready. And I mean, yes, he lost his Colossi there, but he's got way better economy. This is a Protoss on 3 bases getting Stargate tech, like really good Stargate tech too, against just roaches. And the 3rd base by MaddeLisk at a natural just started.
Just now starting really makes things complicated for her as, yeah, you said it. Like normally a Zerg player is upset if they're on the same number of bases, but she's been behind a base for quite a substantial amount of time now, and she's going to make another roach push, and, you know, oh, those force fields. Oh, these roaches aren't going to have nowhere to run.
Nathan, it's almost a donut.
Yeah, it is. It's a force field donut.
The food of your country.
Thanks.
GG is called.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome, you're welcome. First game, GG is called. Stardust did a cool cannon rush, like very unfortunate build order choice for MaddeLisk. She went for a hatch first against a Forge cannon rush, so it just didn't work out very well for MaddeLisk at all, and from that point on.
Well, it was all donuts from that point on. Tough game. The cannon rush always, you know, like throws a Zerg player off when you go hatch first and you have to cancel. It's not a fun place to be. Map number 2 is Overgrowth.
Dude, and I told you he's not a cool guy to play against, right? He will really try and mess with you. But here, like Stardust, he's a really, really, really solid player. I can't emphasize enough how good he is. Like, he's been called Cheese Dust in the past. He's been called other things beginning with S in the past, like S Dust. But you know, he's actually a really, really solid player. So it's nice to see that he is doing so well in the European scene. He won WCS Europe at one point.
You don't win the European Championship and make it to the top 16
He's
global.
won DreamHacks and stuff before too. Like, yeah, it's really nice to see that he is a player that's prospered being in Europe and really connected with his fans, speaks good English too. Like, he's really, really enjoyed being here. And here, it looks like he will be opening up with that Forge kind of build again in MaddeLisk, going up to 15 supply once again. This could... Oh, a pool.
Whew. Whew. Now, if it was either of those two players I previously mentioned, we could still see 7 cannons in the natural.
Really? That can happen? Even now?
Well, maybe not this. Maybe if it was Galsy, then that would be like... Galsy would make this cannon rush work.
I lost a map to him.
I know.
At MLG.
He'll never forget it, I promise.
He tried to give me a t-shirt.
He tried to give Idra a t-shirt, too.
Oh, he beat Idra on a game, too?
He's beaten everybody with his cannon rushes.
Oh, man. Okay, I felt really bad initially, because I was, like, coming...
Did you see, like, the Day 9 Daily where he showed, like, replays of him cannon rushing every famous NA pro and winning?
No.
Yeah, he has, he's a legend.
Okay, this is really groovy. Like, with this single probe, he's delayed this natural so much. Didn't even put down an extra pylon or what have you.
Yeah, and he just went straight for that Nexus.
His Nexus is actually earlier than his opponent, so that was really, really cute by Stardust. You see a lot of Zerg players bring down 2 drones to do the job of that single drone, so you can get rid of that probe much, much faster. And we talk about, like, hey, this is a really bad build for MaddeLisk to go up against, like in the initial game, Hatch first against Forge Expand. But MaddeLisk just really didn't respect the probe being in a base and the pylon building. Like, normally what you would see is a good 4 drones.
A lot of drones get pulled usually.
4 drones rush down, and they all pick a spot around the pylon, and they all patrol command as to not let the probe put down a cannon. If cannons start coming down, bam, you need to have a good 10 drones down there, depending on how many cannons get up. But here, a much more regular start from both of these players. We do not have any cheese sealing the deal early on. We have MaddeLisk going up to 3 hatcheries fairly early. And there's nothing out for Stardust that will immediately kill MaddeLisk. So we will see a longer game in which MaddeLisk doesn't start off ridiculously far behind.
Yeah, this gives us more of a chance to see where MaddeLisk really wanted to play the early mid-game stage, because I wouldn't be surprised if Stardust still threw up a Stargate, went for the Void Ray, even went 3 Stargate. Like, he could still play this out normally. And to be fair, MaddeLisk could still just go up to 3 base lair with a big, heavy Roach push, which, honestly, if you have a 3 base economy, if she had, like, double the number of Roaches that she had when she pushed Stardust, maybe she has a chance to make a little bit more happen there, because at first it was only 1 Void Ray, and there wasn't any detection because the Observer was so far out of position. So maybe there's a little bit more that she can make work. And here's that Stargate, the ever so versatile opening out of the Protoss. And the Overlord, I was wondering if MaddeLisk was going to peek her Overlord over and spot this bad boy, because she still has some Overlords moving out on the map, and usually you want to pull them back when you see that Stargate.
MaddeLisk is doing a really good job being active with her Zerglings around the map, like just making sure there's no pylon being warped in near her base. Yeah. The Stellar is playing rather aggressively on the map, building a sentry behind this. That's good for like a wall off, and just kind of securing that wall. And if you do have a little run by trying to get in, you can eventually force field as well, so it buys you a lot of time. Stargate is coming on the field, and one of the things you see from Stargate players on this map, you see a lot of Oracle play, which I think we're going to see this game, but we also see a lot of Phoenix stuff, and this Celot just kind of like manhandling this Queen right now in a one-on-one. I actually haven't seen that happen in a while.
Yeah, the
Zealot's just like a man fight.
Yeah, the Zealot's just getting right up in that Queen's face, but the drones come out.
Oh, but yeah, the Oracle, so it's really good on this map for one reason, and that is how hard it is to connect the creep from the natural to the 3rd.
Yeah.
And now that amount of damage that Queen has taken, an Oracle flies in there.
Oh yeah, the Oracle just runs in, finishes it off, and then wrecks that mineral. And look, 12 drones are in the production tab, and if enough of those bad boys go to the 3rd, things are going to get a little bit awkward.
Very, very, very awkward, Nathanius.
Yeah, and, look at that number, 15. So the rest of the drones are coming over.
Like, a spore is being made. I don't know where, probably in the main base. So, you know, she's kind of anticipating something. What, we don't know, but, like, no spores being made anywhere else. So,
this
you know, but
could get ugly.
The 3rd base is the one that's really, really susceptible. So,
yep.
The fact that there's not a spore there, and there's one at the main base, that's a little bit weird for me. The Lings do see this Oracle. 8 more drones on the way. Oh,
I'd like to see the Oracle kill the Queen.
I mean, I would too, but he's kind of like, why would the Zealot go there in the first place if not to?
Yeah, like you're trying to set up the alley-oop on that one, and the Oracle just did not respond.
No, he did not respond, and now we have a Spore Crawler going down. Like, he could have...
Yeah, MaddeLisk could have lost a lot more to that.
Yeah, and now MaddeLisk, like, she's doing the right thing here. Like, she's droning up a lot.
Yeah, just drone up crazy fast, because it's not like Stardust has anything set up to actually get aggressive with, because she did such a good job of checking for pylons, and I don't think that's a probe in the top left, right? At that top left expansion?
Zealot.
Oh, it's the Zealot.
I mean, yeah, this wasn't a jab-jab punch.
Yeah, he should have ran in again.
Yeah, certainly should. And now... MaddeLisk has droned up a very, very healthy amount. She's going to be at 66 drones against the 51 harvesters of her opponent.
Yeah, an infestation pit, which is spotted by this.
Now,
is MaddeLisk going to go
Swarm Host?
I think it's the only thing it could really be out of this setup, unless with the Hydralisk dead now and Roach speed, so maybe she just wants to rush up to Hive and make a big Roach Hydra Viper attack, which isn't really popular anymore in ZVP in general.
I mean, if she did want to go for in Hive...
Yeah, there's the Hive.
Very quick Hive. So her economy is actually pretty darn good right now. And 2 extra Stargates on the way for Stardust. So he wants to go for this air composition again. She's made sure that all the gases are looking pretty active. Good saturation, all 3 bases. So right now, this is looking pretty okay for MaddeLisk. Like, does she anticipate this army that she's going up against?
Look how much supply she's opening up. 7 Overlords being built right now. And she doesn't quite have the bank that she would need to actually build Roaches or Hydras yet. So this is just her setting herself up to use this economy. The only thing I'm interested to see is when she goes for a 4th base, or if she's going to just try to make this happen off of 3.
I mean, if you have Roach Hydra with a few Vipers, if you take out, like, you can pick apart this army quite easily, actually, because what Stardust is going to be really relying on here is...
He doesn't have any Templar out, so he can't, like, feedback them or anything.
And yeah, these super valuable units, too. It's not as if he's relying on a lot of Blink Stalkers and Sentries and then, like, you know...
Everything is a target for Abduct.
Exactly. Like, any unit that you pick off or Abduct, it's a unit that MaddeLisk wants dead, and you're not going to have that many of them. It's not as if you have to abduct about 20 units. No. If you abduct that Colossus in that army, that army's... half as good, and now we have a few Lings actually running into the main base, which, bam, you've scouted everything that you're up against, and these Lings, they're going to go to town in the main base.
Yeah, MaddeLisk is actually getting a little bit out of this, while she's also pushing this 3rd base. So, solid force fields from Stardust to pick off a few of these Roaches. There are Lings still ravaging that main base mineral line, and the Zealot Warp-ins are dealing with it slowly but surely. However, actually, she's going to kill this next Zealot. She might even get a few more probes out of this.
That single probe with red health.
She
gets it.
She target fired it. Not bad. Not bad at all. And another probe.
Oh, it almost got it. I loved the surprise in your voice. But yeah, like a lot of players would just kind of leave it to just do whatever.
I would. I wouldn't even look back at that. I would have left him for dead. But the Vipers are coming out now. Breaking the rocks. I'd like to see that 4th hatchery start up for MaddeLisk.
Do we have any upgrades on these Hydras? Like,
there's no Hydra range or speed yet.
Oh, that's a bit problematic.
That's actually really like if you don't have the range upgrade, the force fields pretty much give the Hydras like no range at all. Like you're not going to be able to
Marines at that point in time.
Yeah. Then have a bit of difficulty shooting over force fields. So
this
tricky.
Oracle, you ran into the wrong neighborhood, son. Those are 6 Hydras that just picked you off immediately. Still. No real mass amounts of Roaches. Just Roach. And she's seen the Void Rays, and this army...
She has a pretty impressive army. Like, at this point, the only thing that seems a bit interesting is the lack of the Hydralisk upgrades still have me nervous, and how many Void Rays are there? Because if she loses those, so if she loses the few Hydras she has... Oh, and even going for the run-by again at the same time. Stardust
this run-by is actually really good here.
Slipping up a bit here.
She does actually focus the cannon rather than the Lings. I mean, the probes, but the probes are still going to start falling. Here, all the Lings died in this army. So
yeah, okay, so MaddeLisk. Hallucinated Colossi making things a little bit tricky. The Vipers need to get those Abducts. Not really responding too much with this army as a continued move. Or actually used Blinding Clouds. I mean, I can see where that works. 24 Roaches are on the way. Ultralisk Cavern is coming in, but this 3rd base should survive.
I mean, she's dealing quite a lot of damage here, but there's nothing to deal with those Void Rays, and that's always been the main concern here.
Without the Hydralisk range, like, you're forcing the opposing units to get closer, which is, I guess, one way to handle it, but...
and you know, what's her answer here? She's getting Chitinous Plate and she's getting melee upgrades. It just doesn't feel like she knows what to do against the Void Rays. There's nothing being made that actually hits them, never mind kills them.
Yeah, I mean, has she produced any extra queens is what I'd like to know. Maybe a big Doom March?
3
No,
queens.
only 3 queens is not...
It's not sufficient. Doesn't do it.
Nope. And these Void Rays attacking with impunity on the gold base. MaddeLisk's going to go for a counterattack. There's a good number of roaches here, but there's still Void Rays being produced, so they'll eventually clean up those roaches. She's actually hitting the 3rd base as well, while she loses her 4th. And actually, she did take another 4th base in the northwest, so she's got a decent economic position if she can continue to keep this harass up.
Yeah, MaddeLisk isn't doing bad with this harass. I mean, all these roaches are eventually going to die here, but these roaches are going to, again, deal quite a bit of damage. We see probes dying all over the map, and the fact is, the action's happening on Stardust's side of the map, so he has to come home with this army. 4th base is up for MaddeLisk. But look, 6 Ultras in production.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Ultras actually crush everything that Stardust has except for the Void Rays.
Except for the unit that he has the most of in his army.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good killing...
Well, it's just like Void Rays can be really flimsy sometimes. Like often,
yeah, they're going to be super flimsy.
It's just oftentimes the only thing about this that I don't like, as far as like the army composition goes for MaddeLisk, because I see lots of Zerg players handle this without building lots of Hydras.
Well, you get lots of
queen
queens
count.
and fungals.
You need a lot of queens, and fungal growth is another way to help with that too. But like once you get like 7 to 8 queens all building up energy, then they actually become very difficult to kill with the number of transfuses they have.
Yeah, they don't really die against Void Rays, and that's one of their main strengths.
Okay, so she's got a few more Hydras coming out, but she still hasn't fixed the issue of no Hydralisk range and no Hydralisk speed. So it's still a tough spot to be in, because and actually I guess Stardust has seen an Ultra because he's begun Immortal production as well. And once you have like 4 or 5 Immortals, Ultras are
MaddeLisk has been very good at producing
trash.
Units. That's one thing she's done very, very well. Like, lots of Ultras on this field, and if we look at her mineral count, like, she keeps it constantly very, very low. So she macros very, very well, and for most of this game, she's been ahead of Stardust in supply. Right now, though, considering her unit composition, something really needs to change very soon, because this isn't a matter of, hey, if these guys go head-to-head, like, who's going to win? It's just going to be, when does that happen? Because right now, the right units are not being made, and bam! These Ling Run buys, they keep managing to find a way.
Yeah, but at the same time, Stardust gets some units over at MaddeLisk's 4th in the northwest, and she's no longer actually mining off of that base thanks to some Zealots. She didn't actually lose the drones. She pulled them away, it looks like, but not mining is still tricky. The Ultra's actually coming in here on top of this 3rd base, picking off some of the photon cannons. But I think she commits to this. I'm really worried. Archons coupled with Void Rays, and you mentioned the lack of anti-air for so long. MaddeLisk is going to lose his whole entire army.
Nothing hits those Void Rays in this army. We have like 3 Hydras heading over, and she's going for a cancel on this gold base. But you know, this is just disheartening at this point in time. Your opponent's making a gold base. You have nothing that kills those Void Rays, and now we have lots of Hydras joining the field. But
could have used them a little while ago with range.
With range. Oh, she's upgrading range now. Oh no, still no range upgrade. So. You know, this army is still not really adequate at dealing with the threat that is upon her, and this army is very good at dealing with Ultras at this point in time.
Yeah, this is a really strong force from Stardust. You know, we contacted this earlier. A lot of very expensive units, and really not many cheap gateway forces. You know, the Fragbite roast of Nathan Fabricant. We can move back to this game. So, as we just saw, Stardust shut down this base. And MaddeLisk is moving across the map.
That is a brave Hydralisk.
Yeah, that
Or stupid.
Well, so MaddeLisk is actually going to be able to shut down the gold base here. Since it's not done, there's no option of a recall. Stardust is just going to continue to push. Actually, there's no mothership core with this army, so there is no recall available for Stardust. He's just going to try to kill MaddeLisk right now, splitting up his forces and using the units that he has at home to defend against any possible attack. There's the Photon Overcharge. Stalkers are here.
Ooh, I mean, that's a decent blinding cloud, though.
Cute.
I mean, this is turning into a base trade situation, and given the fact that her army isn't going to get any bigger, and Stardust is now kind of on top of the production here, I can only say this is a better situation for Stardust.
Because MaddeLisk started producing a heavy number of queens, but at this point, it also comes down to she has a good amount of resources. She doesn't have that many overlords. She's supply blocked, and that really hurts because she has her Hydralisk dead still. She could make units.
Look at this too. 7 cannons on the way, and I mean he's kind of getting shots in here from the high ground.
You can blinding cloud the cannons too.
Oh yeah, you certainly can, and blinding cloud on top of these stalks as well. She's picking them off, and this is a good number of Hydras to be fighting with.
Imagine if they had range, they could actually hit those cannons on the high ground. How weird is that?
I mean, if they had range, they could do a lot of things right now. But That is a little bit of a quit.
Yeah. So